favorite was definitely the Great Wall. The Great Wall itself was obviously amazing, but one of the coolest parts for me was the trip out of there. We're going from downtown Beijing, slowly leaving the city and watching it fade behind, and it's like all of a sudden you're out of the city and you're just on a road and you can see little villages and you can see small farms and things like that, and it's crazy just how drastically it changed in such a little amount of time. And then we get to the Great Wall, and then we're back into this kind of modern, renovated area because of how touristy it is. And so it's crazy just how much it changes within small distances based on what the needs are there.
Favorite part about the Great Wall was walking all the way up to the top and looking back down and seeing how far you've been. I just thought that was so magnificent.
Would see people from New Zealand, people from Germany, people from Missouri. I mean, there were people from all over the world, and it was so fun to all come together and be in that amazing place.
So I think it was very interesting to see how the companies like Cargill and ADM functioned in China. I mean, in a lot of ways they were very similar. When you went into the building and into the office structure, you kind of felt like you were in an office much like you would be here at home. But then at the same time, you definitely got the feel that things were different. And I think that's something that definitely happens is they have those companies over there and they have to learn to integrate with the Chinese culture. And I think that that's something that they either have to do very well or they're not going to be able to be successful. And so I think being able to integrate yourself and mingle with that and accept it is something that's going to set you aside if you wanted to be a company that was going to function in China.
The ADM was wonderful because they showed us the business structure that was really similar to what it is in the United States, but we also got to find out how they cooperated with the government and how they really integrated into China. And so it was really wonderful for them to show us economic graphs and tell us all kinds of information that we could connect with. And so I thought that it was just very beneficial.
It was pretty cool because they showed us an insight on like the products that they were going to launch and stuff like that. And then we also got to tour the plant and we got to put hard hats on and all that and like go see how everything's really done. I thought that was pretty impressive.
I think my favorite was probably visiting the U.S. Embassy in Beijing because we got to meet with people who work for the USDA and who work with foreign ag services and learn about the global trade of agricultural commodities, and I thought that was one of the most interesting things we got to learn about.
Shogun Steel Factory. I just thought it was really cool what they're doing with the old steel factory, making it into like the Olympic venues and everything. I thought that was really, really cool. I'm a fan of Olympic games. I like to watch them, and just seeing all that was really, really cool for me.
As far as job readiness goes, I think it was very beneficial for us to go and see like companies like Cargill and ADM over there, and they actually showed us kind of the inner workings of like stuff that goes on that maybe we don't really know because we haven't started the job market and we don't know kind of what their day-to-day life is, and they kind of gave us a little bit of insight on that.
You were able to gain an entirely new perspective, something that no one could have ever prepared you for, no one could have explained, you couldn't have read on paper, you couldn't have like possibly expected what you were going to experience in China. And so I think that perspective is so valuable to companies here, and that's why it is I think that all of us are going to have so much better times finding jobs.
You know, we grew up in these little bitty cities, and then we moved, and we're in this city of 23 million people first stop, so that was a little overwhelming, but I think that'll help us because it pushed us out of our comfort zone, and we had to learn how to properly communicate with people that did not speak our language, and we had to learn about the way that they consume these particular commodities in a different way than the U.S. does. So, I mean, that whole mindset of shifting from U.S. to China, kind of like what you were talking about earlier, I think that really opened our minds to be able to be ready for new things for our future careers.
My favorite part was visiting the U.S. Embassy, and I guess part of it for me was like, that felt like a company, well, I mean, it's not a company, but that felt like something that I could do, like a job that I could do. I mean, they were all Americans essentially working in China, whereas we did visit ADM and Cargill and things like that, and they are American companies, but it felt still like a majority of the employees were from China, and that makes sense, of course, but it's like the embassy definitely felt like something that I would do that other people there in China wouldn't be qualified for, so really interesting.
I think it's just the real world experience of going to China. Like for me, I'd never been out of the United States before, so this experience abroad really helped my understanding of how it works abroad. So I can work in an American company and understand how business is done in other parts of the world, and so I really think that's valuable in the work experience, especially today.
It really enhanced on us getting out of our comfort zone. Going to China was nothing I ever anticipated doing coming into college. And I think that's something that can be very valuable to future employers, to show that you're willing to get out of your comfort zone, to travel, to do things that aren't something you wouldn't normally do. And I think that shows a lot to future employers. And also, I probably wouldn't have met all these people that I'm sitting here with right now if it wasn't for this trip. And we just learned so much that you just can't learn in a classroom every day.
Also to meet with kids our age that were in the same, I guess, life plan that we were. They were going through school, figuring out life, and being able to talk to them and see their worldviews and see their goals and dreams, and being able to compare and learn from their experiences was eye-opening. And it definitely makes you appreciate what you have, and it gives you a better understanding of the world's needs and what you can do in the future to help in your future career, and it just gives you a better overall world understanding of what's going on by talking to people that are actually living it rather than watching the news.
So I think that, like many of us that went on the trip, growing up in a small town in Texas, I mean, you kind of wind up with a pretty narrow point of view on things, whether you want to or not. Not that I would ever want that, but that it just happens. And then as soon as you get out of the country, I mean, I've seen video documentaries and I've seen things like that over China, and it's like, what are these people doing? Like, they're crazy. But then you get over there and you experience it yourself, and it's like suddenly it just kind of makes sense. I think that a lot of people in America have a very negative view of the Chinese government, but you get over there and you realize, like, hey, as quickly as they're growing and as fast as things are changing here, I think they kind of have to have it this way, at least right now, and maybe it'll change in the future, but this actually could easily be the best choice for them. And I don't think that if I would have not went over there that I could ever understand or accept that or be aware that that is a possibility.
Overall, this was one of the best decisions since I've come to college, was deciding to go on this study abroad trip. I kind of did it on a whim. I didn't really know anybody going. I didn't really know the professors that well, but I was like, that sounds like a cool experience, and I am so glad that I decided to do it.